welcome back to Green Mountain Garage. This week we're going to work on my 2015 Roush. It's been a minute since we've been on here. Haven't had much car content lately. Life and holidays and work and everything else. Just haven't had much of a chance to do much car stuff. But we're going to start prepping for Ponies and the Smokies. It's coming up at the end of March, and I've got a little list of things that I need to get done on my car. But we've got some suspension upgrades that we're going to do, some little BMR vertical links to try to help with the wheel hop. If you watched any of my previous videos from the drag strip, you know I've been struggling with that. And then a couple little upholstery issues with the interior. I got to take the door panels off. I need to take the console apart. So there's aftermarket leather work that's been done in there. And some of the clips are pulled loose on the door panels. And then there's a little tear around my emergency brake handle on the leather around that. So I'm going to have to tear that apart and try to repair that somehow. So, but let's get into it. Okay, so what's going on is this has all been wrapped in this aftermarket leather. Well, I don't know if they did it when they put it back together or what. You can see it's been epoxied, but these are all loose. Driver's side's the same way. So I'm going to take the whole door panel off and see what we can do there. Okay, so what we've got here, I actually already took the other side apart and forgot to record it. So behind here, there's a little piece with a 10mm bolt here. You have to pop this off. And then there's another 10mm down in here. And then there's two 7mm on the bottom. And then everything else is just clips. And then there's some plugs. But I'll just show you this cable. On the other side, this cable right here, it's pretty tough. It came apart. It's really tough to get the clips squeezed in on it. So I just pulled this little cover out of here to expose this bolt. Somebody took the time and went to the trouble to put suede over top of this little piece of plastic. You can tell it's like hand trimmed. The other side was the same way. All right, so it's actually been a couple of weeks since I've worked on the car. A couple of reasons for that. We had a bunch of weather come in, and if you live anywhere near the Midwest, you know the winter's been eventful. Kentucky got its fair share of snow. Biggest winter we've had in a while. So I've been busy with that, or just when I am off work, it's just been bitterly cold and I don't feel like working on it. So we're going to try to change that today. I went and got some epoxy. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. I'm going to try to get this thing glued back together so I can get these door panels back in. So all of these have been broken off where they went through. And you can see where they used like a hot glue gun or something. Kind of made a mess of it everywhere. But I'm going to try to probably have to drill some of these out and try to re-epoxy these. I thought about trying to see if there was enough meat in that plastic to get like a screw and a washer on one or two of these. I may still do that, but I'll try it out and see how it goes here. I don't know if I want to mess with this too much over here because this is still holding. I might do this one and then just leave that alone. I think what I might try to do too is get a small drill bit and like a little trim screw and try to drill into this and put a screw in a washer. Maybe see if that'll help hold it. I found this little pack of screws, some kind of self-drillers. They got a pretty good size washer on them. I'm going to see if I can make something like this work. Well, I guess they're not a self-driller. They're more like a trim screw though, so that might work. I'm trying to jimmy rig a bracket to pull this together. I don't have any clamps that'll reach in there. I guess if nothing else, there's a Harbor Freight right up the street. I could go get me a clamp. Well, is it a dumb idea if it works? I sort of got this pulled back together. Kind of like to do the same thing here, if I can. Because this still needs pulled back together. I mean, I don't think I can leave this in here because I think the sheet metal and everything is fairly close. I don't think there's enough room to leave something like that in there, and I don't know if I could let myself do that. Scared myself there for a second. When I might be pushing that screw through the other side. Well, I mean, it's not the most eye-appealing thing in the world, but this actually did pull this together. It's just some junk that I had. I think these are for a mini blind or something that I put up. You know, I don't. Sometimes it's helpful if you just keep everything and don't throw anything away. But this is actually pulled together really nice. I'd like to get this pulled together a little tighter. I wish there was some way I could do that here. I might be able to get a screw into that one. I think I'm going to try. Oh boy, that's not going to work. That's better. Ooh, I gotta see that really quick. Oh man. I want to drill a hole in the leather. That's why I'm using a screwdriver and not a drill to run these screws in. Oh yeah, that's actually really nice. Man, might have to try to get that on a couple of these other ones. Well, maybe that's the route I should go instead of trying to. I can still epoxy it, but I might be able to get into a couple of these, get a screw in them. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. I did try to drill this one here, and it didn't want to drill. So, all right, maybe I'll try it the other way. All right, so this one I don't think for sure I'm going to be able to drill because it's just not cooperating. This one I'm going to try. It's a little bit angled. Well, I got a hole through it. Let's see if a screw will draw up. scared to death I'm going to poke through the other side of this thing. I don't want to have a screw poking through my leather. That is much better. It's so much better. Okay. At least it won't rattle now. That's what was driving me nuts. You know, you had to be looking to notice that it was actually loose, but the rattling from it, especially if there was nobody in the passenger seat. But you don't really notice on the driver's side because, you know, my arm is usually on the armrest or something. All right, so I was actually able to get one here, and then these two. This area right here was the worst for where it was loose. I honestly don't know that I really need to epoxy this now. I think these are going to hold. So I think I'm going to call it good and do the other side. All right, on to the other side. I think I might leave these alone. I think I got these two on the other one, so if I can get these two, I don't think I'll have to mess with those. I think it'll be fine. Those will be fine. Take this guy. I may need to put a washer behind that guy. I can actually feel that one poking through. Let's see. I'll go see what I can find. I think I can put something between there and not have to worry about that. Don't want to poke the leather. That would not be good. Something I never ever throw away are the little screws and washers from a TV mount, a wall mount. I always hang on to this stuff, and these little hard plastic washers, I had them in a bolt bin, so I think that's gonna be my washer to space that out a little bit. Apparently they've taken this thing, I just noticed this, they've taken this apart here. All right, so I was able to get this guy drilled. Let me see if I can get the screw in here. Might have to steal one of those shorter screws. I don't think this goes very... Oh boy. Ooh, no. Yeah, I can feel that coming through. That's not going to work. Let's try that again. So I had to double the washers up because it's wanting to poke through, because this isn't very thick plastic. But I think it's going to work. Just got to get it drawn up. Well, that's better anyway. I don't know if it'll stay in there. That one didn't feel like it wanted to tighten up very good. So we'll see. Well, I had to go back to the parts store and get more screws. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, it's tightened up nicely. It's not sticking through or anything, so that's good. We'll just get a couple more in it. Go from there. You know what? I think I can get this one. I think if I can get this one, we'll be good. Let's try that. There we go. Not poking through, and just pulled it up nice and tight. I think that's going to do it because I can't really get anything on these because they're so chewed up. And it's not really loose anywhere else. Not really that bad, so I think we're just going to go with that. Well, I guess now I can start putting these things back on. I'm going to try to get this guy back up in here. This was fun, taking it apart, so I'm hoping that it goes back together much easier than it came apart. Aha! Oh yeah, much easier. Okay. I just had to get this lined up with these pins, and then kind of snaps in. There it goes. All right, nice. So now all I have is a screw here, and then there's a screw here. There's one somewhere here, up underneath, and then I believe there's one or two on the bottom. Nothing complicated. So. Okay, so this one goes in at an angle. It's a little bit tricky to get lined up, but it's not too bad. Okay. See if we can get this guy on here. I'm glad that cable goes together better than it came apart because it was a pain to get apart. I just got to get these plugs lined back up. And make sure this guy's sticking through so I don't lose it. There's a trick to this. You got to hang the top first. That is much better. No more rattling. I do have this little piece here I've got to repair because it was actually wrapped that in leather, believe it or not, and I accidentally pulled the leather off when I was trying to get the piece out. So I've got to clean that piece up and put some spray glue on it, put that back together. So, but the next thing is going to be the console, and that hunk of crap right there is going to come apart. So all this has to come off, and I've had this dash apart several times. So new radio should be here sometime this week. That one is the old Sync 2 system. It came with the car, and there's something wrong with it, so I want to get that out of there anyway. Okay, so it's a week later since we finished the door panels and stuff. Gotta pop this console out of here. There's a little repair on the emergency brake boot that I'm going to try to do, and I'm actually switching out my Sync 2 system for a Sync 3 update, and FedEx should be here any minute with my parts. So we'll get into it, see how this goes. Okay, to some people this might be a little intimidating taking these apart, but it's really not that bad once you get into it. There's some clips here. You just got to use these like little plastic pry tools. It's really not that hard. You just got to take your time and be careful. I mean, it sounds like you're going to break something, but as long as you pry gently and keep steady pressure on it, you won't have any problems. Okay. So this clip right here, that's actually a steel clip in there, and that one's the one that's a little bit tough. The other ones kind of pop out easy, but that one you got to get a little more aggressive with. Okay, so it sounds like you're doing all kinds of horrible damage, but you're really not. It's just the wedge, these little wedge clips have to pop off. And just unplug the little plug on the back, and then there you have it. And sometimes these little guys will stay in here. This one actually turns sideways. You can get a pick and pick those out of there. And then there's one over here too. But I would recommend actually sourcing these somewhere and having a couple spares. When I did mine, when I changed this out with the Tesla screen that I had in here, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone, I had to go buy those, and I actually had to go to the Ford dealer and get them. I wouldn't recommend that either. They were pretty pricey for just a little piece of plastic, so I would get on Amazon or something like that, or eBay, and try to find them. They're pretty easy to drop as well. I dropped a couple of them down and behind here, and had a hard time getting them out of there. So I would recommend having spares. Okay, so to do this, to get this out of here, believe it or not, you actually need to take the top part of this console apart. And these are just held on by wedge clips, but there's a couple 7mm on each side, and then the rest of it is all just wedge clips, and it comes apart here. So the trick is to get that pulled loose and then separate this part. And once you do that, you can actually pick it up from the back, take it back. I'll actually have to take the shift knob and everything loose too. Okay, so I got the console out. I went in and took it all the way out because I'm going to have to get in here to take this guy off. There's a little rip right there I want to try to fix. And then for this, there's 2 screws at the top, and then that little shaker cover right there comes off. There's 2 screws in there. And then the rest of it is just wedge clips. You just got to kind of pry and pull, and the cover comes off. And then, of course, there's plugs behind here for all these switches and stuff. So that'll be the next thing. Okay, so now we got the faceplate off. Now we got a couple 7 mils here, a couple over there, and then that comes out, and then there's some plugs on the back. And then the module and everything is actually bolted to the back of this thing, so that should be pretty straightforward. All right, so one more screw here. Then we can pop this thing out. It's pretty hard to do one-handed. Okay, so there's a plug here. I want to figure out how that releases. I'm going to put the camera down because it's... nope, there it goes. Okay. And then this guy, you just pop this little plastic piece up. You have to push the release. And basically, I'm gonna have 2 hands for it, but you push the release, pop that up, and as you pull that up, it ejects the plug. Okay, so I got everything blown apart here, kind of on the table, and just going through everything. The only thing, this kit didn't come with any kind of instruction book or anything, so I actually got on their website. I ordered this on American Muscle, but if you look here, it says infotainment.com. So American Muscle doesn't have any information on it. So I went to that website, and then they have all the information on it. So it would have been nice to have, maybe some paperwork with it or something. But I mean, I found it, so no big deal. But kind of had to switch a couple things around. These little brackets have to come off the old unit onto the new. Then this goes in the console, so you have to pop the old one out. And then a little wiring harness here. And then there's a GPS antenna that you got to mount up in the dash. You got to plug in as well. So not really rocket science. Not that hard, but getting ready to start putting it back together. Okay, so this is the old plug here. It's got the old school like SD card and a line in and all that. So the new one just gives you basically one USB. So just got to unplug that stuff, unplug all these, and plug the new one in, snap it back in place. All right, got it all in there. I'm getting ready to put the face plate back on it. I got the 4 screws back in, everything's plugged in. I'll put the face plate back in, plug all that stuff in. Already did the plug in the console, so should be able to snap the faceplate back in and try this thing out. Yeah, forgot to take this off before I snapped that back in. Oopsie. All right, so I hooked the battery cable back up, and before I put everything back together, I'm gonna try this thing out and see what happens. So far, nothing. Oh, we got something. We'll give us a minute. I'll report back. All right, so sticking the console back together. Got everything snapped back up in place. Everything works. I would give you... All right, so we're out taking a little drive in the car, trying everything out. I would show you how good the radio works, but YouTube doesn't like copyrighted music. So just trust me when I say it works perfectly fine. Well, last night when we were installing it, I put the console back together and everything, and I got in a little too big of a hurry. And I left the plug unplugged for the module or antenna that reads the key fob. So the radio would come on, play just fine. But guess what didn't work? The car. Nothing would start, wouldn't run, nothing. So I had to take the console back apart, figure that part out. Once I got that, it's all good to go. Works perfectly fine. So we just thought we'd take a little drive because it's nice weather. Tomorrow it's going to turn to crap and snow, so need to get it out and get it out of the garage. It hasn't been out of the garage since the fall, so. Well, that's going to do it for this one. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so. It helps us out a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.